All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at another portion of our trifecta. We're going to look at the relationship between percents and decimals. We can absolutely use our fraction skills, which we're going to do on the bottom of this worksheet, to help us convert from percents to decimals, but we'll also perhaps recognize a shortcut. So what operation out of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division do fractions represent? Does a fraction bar represent? Well, represents division forever and for always. And remember, percents are ratios. Now, ratios are a term that we haven't quite learned about yet, which it's essentially means it's a fraction comparing a number to 100. 100 is super important when we're dealing with percents. So when you have a percent, we can write it as a fraction where you put the percentage over 100. So for example, 75% means you have 75 out of 100. So essentially what we're doing with this fraction, remember, a fraction bar is a division symbol. So essentially what we are doing with percents is we are dividing, because we have a fraction bar, the numerator, which is the percentage itself, by 100, since our denominator is always 100 with percentages. Now we can use our knowledge of dividing by powers of 10. This is something we did in that first unit, I believe, where we multiplied and divided by, 100, 1,000, 10,000, which are our powers of 10. And our shortcut is that if there's two zeros in 100, we're going to be shifting the decimal twice. So two spaces, but we're dividing. So we're going to be moving to the left because we will be getting smaller. So again, let's use the fractions to just help us out and make sure that this shortcut of shifting the decimal two spaces to the left, let's see why that happens. So 51% as a fraction is 51 hundredths. 51 hundredths, 51 hundredths. Okay, did we indeed shift the decimal twice? Well, the decimal would be behind the 1 in the 51%. Shift, shift, boom, it is, 0.51, 51 hundredths. 10% is 10 hundredths. Now we could simplify if we want to. Let's go ahead and do that. That is equivalent to 1/10. And in either one of these cases, so the first fraction, 10 hundredths, is 10 hundredths, which is indeed equivalent to 1/10. We're just taking off that 0. So let's see if our little trick of shifting the decimal twice also worked. 1, 2, that decimal would be out in front, 0.10 or 10 hundredths. Our trick worked. 7%. Now when you have single digit percentages, students tend to make mistakes here. You still need to shift your decimal twice, which means you need to add a 0 out in front. And let's see why. Well, 7% is 7 hundredths. Oh, 7 hundredths? Boom, 7 hundredths. That 7 needs to be sitting in the hundredths place value. 1% is 1 hundredth. Your 1 needs to be sitting in the hundredths place value. 1 hundredth. Let's see if that trick worked. Shift, shift. Yes, that would give me 0.01. So from now on, you can cut out that middleman. We don't need the fractions anymore because we're pretty confident that this trick works, and it does. We're going to shift it twice because we're dividing by 100. Again, why are we dividing by 100? Because your denominator is 100. So dividing by 100 gives us 4/10. You can tack on the 0 if you'd like. I'm not. Shift the decimal twice. 65 hundredths. 99 hundredths. I'm still shifting the decimal twice. 405 thousandths. 658 thousandths. Shifted twice. Ooh. 9,999 10,000ths. So again, our shortcut is to shift it twice, the decimal to the left twice, because you're dividing by 100. And why are we dividing by 100? Because when we set it up in fraction form, this literally translates to 1 divided by 100. That translates to 7 divided by 100, which gives you 7 hundredths.